There's a moment so subtle that most people miss it between what happens to us and how we respond. That tiny invisible gap holds the power to change the entire direction of a conversation, a relationship, a day, or even a lifetime. It's the pause. The pause is where wisdom lives. It's the space where your higher self breathes before your human self reacts. It's where awareness can catch up to emotion, where love can catch up to fear. But in the speed of modern life, that space is often lost. We react before we even realize we've been triggered. We defend, withdraw, attack, or over explain. We send a text, make the decision, say the words, all before the heart has had a chance to speak. And when the dust settles, we're left wondering, why did I say that? Why did I act like that? Learning to pause is one of the most powerful spiritual practices we can cultivate. It's how we reclaim our power from old patterns, old conditioning, and unconscious emotional reactions. The pause isn't just silence, it's presence. It's the meeting point between who you've been and who you're becoming. I remember a moment in my own journey when I realized I had grown. Someone I loved deeply had said something that hit an old wound of mine. Words that triggered my fear of, I'm not good enough for any of this. I don't deserve any of this. In the past, I would have shut down immediately, or maybe pushed back with, fine, I give up. I don't want this anymore. That was my pattern, to protect myself through silence or running away. But that day, something inside me whispered, pause. So I did. I took one slow breath. I felt a tightness in my chest, the heat rising in my throat, the instinct to flee or freeze, and I just stayed with it. I didn't respond, not yet. I took a long, deep breath and listened to the chaos within me without judgment. In that pause, I realized something extraordinary. My emotion wasn't the enemy, it was my younger self, scared, longing to be seen, terrified of being abandoned. And when I met that part of me with love instead of resistance, the whole situation changed. When I finally spoke, it wasn't from fear, it was from truth. And that changed everything, not just for me, but for the relationship itself. That pause was not passive, it was not avoidance, and it was not suppression. It wasn't my old shutting down, it was my conscious choice, the ability to hold my emotional energy long enough for it to alchemize into clarity. When you pause, you interrupt the automatic loops that keep reacting the same outcomes. You stop reacting from survival and begin responding from awareness. And in that space, you meet your true self again. The one who doesn't need to prove, defend, or fix. The one who simply is. So many of us were taught that power comes from control, controlling circumstances, people, outcomes. But real power doesn't come from control, it comes from consciousness. And consciousness begins in the pause. Think about it. Every transformation you've gone through began with a pause, a moment when something inside you said, enough. Enough of repeating the old story. Enough of being who you no longer are. Enough of reacting the same way and expecting peace to come from chaos. That moment of recognition is the crack where light enters. The pause is where you can witness your fear without feeding it. It's where you can feel anger without becoming it. It's where you can choose compassion when your ego wants revenge. It's not easy. When emotions rise, the body goes into defense mode. The nervous system floods with energy, what we're familiar with, fight, flight, freeze. the old wounds resurface, whispering that you are not safe, not enough, not loved. But here's the truth: every pause you take rewires that pattern. Every breath you hold with awareness teaches your body a new way of being. You're literally training your nervous system to respond from love instead of fear. And that's how spiritual embodiment truly happens. Not in the theories, but in these small, sacred pauses throughout the day. Imagine this: someone says something hurtful. Instead of reacting immediately, you inhale slowly. You notice the sensations in your body, maybe tightness, maybe heat. You acknowledge them with gentleness. And in that stillness, you silently say to yourself, I choose peace. You might not even speak right away, but when you do, your voice carries a different frequency: calm, grounded, open. Now imagine if everyone in the world practiced this. Imagine how many conflicts could dissolve before they ever become wounds. How many relationships could deepen instead of break. How much collective healing could unfold just from people pausing long enough to choose love over reaction. The pause is not a luxury, it's a practice of mastery. And the more you honor it, the more you'll find that it begins to happen naturally. You'll feel it like an internal rhythm: the breath before the word, the heartbeat before the choice. When you live from that rhythm, you no longer chase peace. You become it. You become the calm in every storm, the one who holds the frequency of grace even when life moves fast. This doesn't mean you never feel anger or sadness or frustration. Again, I believe we as humans need to normalize embracing our full spectrum of emotions. Taking an intentional pause means you don't let those emotions define your actions. You feel them fully, but you respond from alignment, not reaction. When you pause, you access the deeper intelligence within you, the one that isn't reactive, but responsive, the one that can see both your pain and the bigger picture. And from that higher awareness, your words and actions carry healing energy instead of more conflict. You may not always get it right. There will be moments when you react before you realize it. That's okay. Awareness comes in waves, not perfection. But each time you notice, each time you return to the pause, you strengthen your connection to presence. In time, you will see how much more peace you bring into your life, simply by not rushing to fill the silence. The pause also teaches you humility: the humility to listen deeply, not just to others, but to life itself. It invites you to trust the unfolding, to understand that sometimes the answer you seek can only arrive when you stop trying to force them. When you pause before reacting, you make space for divine timing to work through you. You allow intuition to speak instead of fear. And what comes through that space is often wiser, kinder, and more aligned than anything your mind could have planned. In this way, the pause becomes a sacred bridge, connecting your humanity and your divinity. It's where your higher self steps in, gently guiding your next move, your next word, your next breath. It's in these moments that you begin to live more intentionally, more soulfully. You start to sense the quiet pulse of life moving through everything, even the hard moments. You learn that presence is not about perfection, it's about allowing life to breathe through you without resistance. And soon, the pause isn't just something you practice, it becomes who you are. You become someone who listens before speaking, who observes before deciding, who breathes before acting. Your life begins to feel softer, more graceful, yet more powerful, because your actions now come from alignment, not reaction. In time, people will feel it in you. They'll sense the calm in your energy, the groundedness in your words. They'll feel safe around you, not because you never feel triggered, but because you've learned to meet your triggers with awareness instead of projection. And that, perhaps, is the greatest gift you can give the world, your peaceful presence. The pause is your access point to that peace. It's the gateway to clarity, compassion, and conscious living. If you ever find yourself overwhelmed, just remember this. You don't need to fix everything in the moment. You don't need to have the perfect answer or say the perfect thing. You only need to pause. Place your hand over your heart. Breathe and let your inner wisdom catch up to the moment. That single breath is your return to truth. That single breath can change everything. Because in the end, the power of the pause is not just about responding differently, it's about being differently. It's about choosing presence over pattern and peace over reaction. It's about remembering that your stillness is not weakness, it's the very essence of your strength. And as you live this truth, as you bring the sacred pause into your everyday life, you'll find that the world begins to respond to you differently too. Not because it changed, but because you did. I'm sharing this video with you as a beginner myself on this journey. I have experienced the magical power of pausing, but it's still a hit or miss for me as well, depending on how triggered I am in different situations. So here's my invitation to you. Let's walk this journey together. Let's keep practicing. Let's cheer each other up and support each other. And feel free to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. I love to hear from you. Sending you all a lot of love. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.